Tony, I don't see John on the call, but there are me, David, you, Bill. I think shouldn't we start?
All right, let's call this meeting to order. Who's doing minutes?
I'll do them.
Yeah, Sherry does them.
Okay. Sherry, you can pay attention to everybody who's here.
Yes.
Okay. For some reason, I can't, on my new tablet, I can't call up my email, so I don't know what the agenda is, but I assume there's an approval of minutes.
Correct. June 21st and July 7th.
All right, anybody want to move for approve the minutes?
So moved.
There are two sets. David moves the approval of two sets of minutes. Bill seconds.
Yes.
Are there any comments, corrections, improvements, edits? All those in favor of approving these two sets of minutes as presented, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. The next item on the agenda, I suspect, is a project report. Who is making the project report?
I guess I can.
Yeah, I think it's a multi report from different players.
Okay, so who wants to go first? Colliers?
Yes, I guess I'll go. Yeah, good morning. Yeah, right now the solar panels are mostly put in, all mounted, mostly wired up. From what I've seen up there, everything was going well. They still need to tie into the switchgear, which is a project the school is doing with the generator. So the panels at this point are, mostly put in, and it's really the tie-in and the connections to the switchgear and the metering, from what I understand. I don't know if Paul or if Michael have different information.
That's exactly what we've observed as well, Doug. Our office has made two site visits to review the installation, and most of the equipment or the panels themselves, a conduit, ballast, everything has been installed. It is the final connections that have not been installed yet. The only thing from a coordination, roof PV coordination item that we observed is that under the ballast for the system, we did not observe slip sheets. Usually there are roof slip sheets under the ballast that most manufacturers require for the roof warranty. And we need to confirm with Imperial that the roof warranty will not require those. If it doesn't, then we don't have any issue with it. But in other projects we've seen in other towns, we have seen there's slip sheets that they're similar to walkway pads that are underneath the ballast system to protect the membrane of the roof. So I want to have that discussion with the contractor as they finish up, and that would be something that Imperial would go back out to install. Another update item on the roof front is we are waiting for the manufacturer to do their warranty walk with Imperial.
Yes.
They do that first, then we get a copy of that walk with any corrective items if they have any, and then at that point our office goes out and we do our final punch list inspection for the roof itself. And on that same front, once the final connections are made with the photovoltaic system, then Michael on this call, Michael Chambers, will make a visit out to inspect the system in its final form, as a punch list and potentially final sign off. And we're waiting on that. We don't have a schedule when that final connection will be made.
And Paul, that was perfect. My next question was going to be if anyone knew of a schedule for the generator project and the switchgear for when the installation would be done so that the contractor could tie into it, because that will obviously affect the schedule, the ZREC schedule, and anything of that nature. So just was curious.
So on my end, what we have been told is the switchgear has been pushed back to October, November. And the generator is still scheduled for December delivery.
Okay, thank you.
Is this sort of common delays? Or is this an unusual thing? Is this something we should think about working around, or is this something we should just wait for?
So nowadays with the switchgear and electrical components, there is unfortunately a long lead times and things get pushed back. With how the system is designed, there's really nothing we can do at the moment until that switchgear is installed. But from what Bill had just said, it sounds like the system, everything should be installed so that a contractor can tie into it in time before the ZREC is going to be done. So we should be able to get approval, reach out to Eversource, have all the information filed in time with that extra 6 months that we had filed for back in July. Good.
What does this do to our schedule? Well, obviously, a schedule for turning the system on is, 5-6 months delayed, right?
Yeah, so the latest schedule that I had seen was obviously before this other delay was that the system would be installed and energized at the end of October. So it makes it sound like it's going to be pushed back 2 months or probably to the end of December or something, I would have to guess.
Does this have any financial consequences for the town?
I would assume no. There should be no new items that is going to be provided. It's just the contractor already owns tying into the switchgear, so he knows he has to come back out there and finalize the project and also get it approved to energize with Eversource. So I would see no cost implications to the town.
Well, wouldn't there be a cost involved that we can't use the system until it's tied in? So, I mean, not that we should pursue that, but.
Yeah, you are correct. Obviously, until the system is tied in, you won't be producing any energy. So that is definitely an unfortunate thing. But with how the system is designed, unless you were to tie into the existing switchgear that's out there right now and completely change the design, that would really be the only thing that you could do to get it energized prior to the switchgear and generator being installed.
Peter, you had your hand up earlier.
Yes, thank you. I'm just concerned about the downtime when the switchgear is ready to go. My understanding is that we're going to have to de-energize the building, and I'm just concerned with a later date, how much time will there be a shut off of power to the building, considering kitchen and other things that need to run, and obviously the weather is colder. And so I know Bill and Alan had been talking about this prior, and I wasn't sure if there was a workaround or a way to minimize the amount of time that the building is de-energized before we switch over.
Yeah, so that's a great question. The easiest way I can say would be to do it over a weekend when there are no kids or anyone around the school. Obviously, you can't have it de-energized with trying to, teach and everything of that nature. There's not too much that can be done because they can obviously run the conduit and wire to the location where the switchgear is going to be to try to minimize it as much as possible. But there's obviously going to be the time where they have to install the switchgear, then also connect, the wires and everything, and then go through testing and all of that. So that's typically like a full day thing. At least that happens.
A full
Yeah.
day without power?
It's
So-
something like that. It might be less than that, but I would assume around then, just because of the size of the switchgear, the size of the wire that needs to be pulled, the fact that everything needs to be watched by Eversource, and your facilities people will need to be there to ensure everything is going smoothly as well. So assuming everything goes smoothly, I would say ideally it would be something like a Saturday, and you'd be back up and running later on Saturday.
Is there a way to, I'm
Is
sorry. Ken.
de-energize a euphemism for shutting off all the power?
Yeah, so you would de-energize, which would mean exactly like you said, shut off the power to the entire building, and then energizing would be basically restoring power to the building.
Thank you. Peter, you had a question?
Well, I just want to point out that there may be costs associated with that, depending on how long, because of the kitchen coolers and freezers. Plus, there's aquariums and other things within the building that need power. So a day, perhaps we can sustain, but I think that we need to think that through, because if for some reason during that weekend shutdown, you run into any kind of problem, we then have a situation where food that we're storing at the middle school for our food service program could be in jeopardy. And then also, just because of the science labs and things like that, we want to make sure that we're not jeopardizing any of the animals that we may have.
Yeah, and that's obviously a great point. And another thing I will say to that is I'm not entirely sure what the generator project entails, but some generator projects call for a temporary generator to be on site during when the building is de-energized to try to power certain things. So that could be the case, but I'm not entirely sure since I don't have the project plans in front of me for that.
Peter, maybe it would be helpful if you presented a list of things that absolutely had to be energized after within a 24-hour period or something.
Yep, we can do that. And then I'm not sure who can be tasked with looking at this particular plan to see the viability of providing a temporary generator to cover that. So I think we need to do two things. One is look at the needs of the building in terms of various what ifs scenarios. And then how can we quickly switch over to a temporary generator? I was concerned because it wasn't clear to me when they're working on this whether there can be partial power to the building. So that's another wrinkle. You know, as you're working on these things, generally my understanding is that they want the building fully shut down. How we work around that, I think, is a problem that we should look into. Sounds like we have plenty of time to do it. But to Tony's point, we can easily pull together a list of critical items that we're going to worry about. And then, you know, we'll need to hear more about the temporary plans if we need to provide generation.
Yeah, there might be something that you can shut off power to for 24 hours, but other things that shutting off power for more than 1 hour causes damage. It would probably be useful to know that. Maybe we could put aquariums and animals in one room with a battery or something.
Yep.
Disconnected from the system. We need to know what it was.
Agreed.
What the time frames were. Anything more about this installation issue?
No, I mean, like Paul and Doug have said already, it appears like the system is basically fully installed and we're just pretty much awaiting for the switchgear to get installed so that they can connect it to the switchgear and then get the approval to energize from Eversource.
I'm sorry, is somebody speaking? I can't see who. Okay, is there anything more on project update? Paul.
Tony, thank you, Tony. One of the things that is a fact of life with this project is that future dates continue to be uncertain. And I would like to see, maybe in writing next go around. I know that there's something on the agenda that says next meeting October 18th. Really dates when for installation of the new generator, the final punch list, the ultimate punch list, and when the system is going to become operational. And then upon owner sign off, the bills are due. The bills, we will receive the bill. We will look at the bills and we will process the order approved application for payment of the bills. I'm really looking down the road And what I'm grasping for, I'm not going to get it today, is the hardest conceivable timetable for when this is going to be completed.
Well, I gotta say that judging from what we've been learning on the school building project, there's certain things where people tell you there's a hard date, and that date arrives and nothing happens.
Yeah, I understand.
So I think we can strive for such a thing, but if we push too hard, people are just gonna lie to us.
I said,
Never
yep,
happened.
I said the hardest conceivable date. If it's just whistling in the wind, no, that's not conceivable. But if plans are being formulated to install the generator, obviously taking account of all the good points that Peter made, and to not disrupt the routine educational activities of the school, then if we can. But I realize nothing is going to happen today, and what Michael said, sometime in December is more likely than not. But I'd like to see a little bit more definition on that. And I understand that there are material issues and manpower issues again. And I'm done with my comment, Tony.
David?
The backup generator, I want more confidence that we will have a backup generator, being that we're talking about December, which could be very cold or not very cold. We never know, and could be snowy or what. And we have items in the school that are important. As Peter said, the refrigeration. I want some confidence that there will be a backup generator. And is that the responsibility of the town or of the contractor?
The one thing I will say to that, David, is the first step I would say is to review the drawings for the generator project to see if there's any notes or anything like that that talks about having a backup generator, because there's a chance that that's included in that project cost already. If not, then the next steps would be either to discuss with the contractor if can provide a backup generator, or if that's something that then the town would be providing. But I think the first step should be to review those drawings and just confirm whether or not it says anything about a backup generator first.
And I'll review the prints if that's necessary, but I don't think that's my purview, although I could read them.
I can do it if someone gets me the drawings.
We can do that. We can also check it, and our department also has a backup generator if we need it. So we have a good size one.
That's what I want to hear. Alan comes through all the time.
I just want to be clear though, because often, Bill, I see your hand. I'm sorry that I just stepped in. Would Eversource, or would there be another agency that would say, no, you can't use a temporary generator? I mean, I'm always concerned about the backfeeding and situation with that. So are we talking about literally unplugging things and plugging them into an alternative source, if that's possible? Or are we talking about providing generation through the circuitry of the building? I'm sorry, I'm not using the right terms, but I think you understand. That I know that there are some hard stops and guidelines that might be even outside of this scope that have to do with power coming from the road into the building itself.
We would have to make sure that they're okay with it, but we would try to make sure we'd have to have hard stops so that power can't backfeed to where they're going to be. So we'd have to make sure that's in place, lockout, tag out. But we would try to feed into the main building distribution and then isolate what we could from there, and then feed as much as we can from the main distribution. It's our easiest way to do it. Otherwise, yeah, you are moving things from panel to panel. So we would do our best to do that. Bill and I actually had done an experiment of that at one time with our backup generator to see how much of the school we could run one time. We ended up tripping the generator out, but and we had some other problem with it, but the school can take more power than our generator, but we have enough power to run refrigerators and the critical things we have to run.
Bill?
But just a quick question, you, in the time of shutdown, you can pick out individual circuits to energize? Is that correct, or?
That is correct, yes. And we can make out of the main distribution, you can actually disconnect wires and you can isolate the areas that they're going to be working on. It's just that everyone's going to want to see that, and they're going to have to verify that that's the case because they're working on it. So.
All right, so what are the next steps to do this?
We got to get confirmation that all our materials coming in is the next thing. We're trying to pin down that date, but it is a moving target. So as soon as we can get it pinned down, we can put that out to everybody. Right now, as Bill had said, our indications are more towards end November, December.
Okay. So so this is basically the generator itself and the installation. That's all we're talking about. We're not talking about any other part of the project.
That is correct. Now, Eversource wants to replace the transformer to the building. There's a big old transformer sitting in and behind the building. So they've planned with our electrical contractor to do that replacement also. And the wires that happen to run from the pole underground to that transformer have asbestos coating on the wires. So at one point they were talking about a little extra charge for doing that, but now they're saying that Eversource is saying that they'll probably do it gratuitous. So we got to confirm that with them, because that charge was about $6,000-7,000 for their work to replace those lines. But we're set up to receive the new transformer. It'll actually end up helping us because that old transformer was not all real energy efficient. So a new one's going to be more energy efficient, and it's going to be set up for the size of that building. So this will actually in turn help us overall. So.
All right, so the next steps are transformer, get a date for the generator, plan for an alternative generation on the days that the generator is being installed. Am I missing? And then we do punch lists and checklists. Is that's the final step?
Correct.
Okay, am I missing anything? All right, so we're going to be meeting clearly until January. Not that I'm trying to bring this group to an end. I'm just trying to get some sense of where we're going and what we're doing. Okay. Are we done with the project report? Because the next item is invoices.
This is Bruce from Imperial. I just want to chime in on a couple of things.
Oh, please.
I heard Paul talk about the roof was inspected by Manville, and any repairs were done that day. We do probably have a report. I'll have it forwarded over, but that was done. And Silver Petrocelli's punch list was done. I walked that roof with Steve June. We walked the whole roof. We looked at everything. He just had 2 or 3 items he wanted to take care of, and that's all been completed. So we don't need to have a punch list after a punch list. The other thing is, as far as the solar panel walk pads, I believe all those things come with neoprene pads on the bottom, so they don't affect the roof. I will check with Manville on that. And of course, Manville has to come out one more time just to look at the system sitting on the roof. But that has nothing to do with really the warranty. They just want to double check to make sure that everything is fine. Mm-hmm. But all those other inspections all those punch lists and inspections were completed.
Yeah, and we do a final inspection then based on the things being completed. Yeah.
We'll have to do a punch
Well,
list.
your inspection's already been done on the roof and completed. So that's
okay.
You can check the box on it. It's been done. So
Yeah, but Michael will need to go in Just check the electrical,
For electrical
make sure
as
that
well.
all of that is
Correct.
done. Your roof
Correct.
stuff is probably good, Bruce. But yeah, just to make sure everything is done with the tie-ins and connections and all that, Mike will have to be happy.
Right, I agree.
All right. Are we ready to move to invoices? All right, now I didn't understand this part of the packet, so somebody needs to present it to us. Who's going to present the invoices?
What you have here, Colliers is billing us for their portion of project management and looking over things. That's the first 1, 2, 3 invoices. And then the payment application is from Imperial Roof. And they're looking for payment for their portion of the work they did. And
Can
I
I
have
please ask a question? Oh, sorry, in regards to payment for Imperial, if you don't mind me asking, because it regards the generator, and I was muted. I wasn't able to speak. It's Heather from Imperial. While you guys are reviewing the generator schedule to figure out the best course of action, and we're all working backwards for dates, can the architect in the town please establish a retainage release for our retainage? If anything's like, if we're waiting for something to get done, I just want to make sure we're not holding up $112,000 of Imperial's retainage when we're just waiting for something that for the generator to finish so the solar guy can finish a portion. I would like if someone could establish an amount that's being held while we're waiting, so we're not waiting until 2023 for the funds.
I can answer that. Yes. So typically in a project like this, if we have a delay for one item, then it is customary that we would recommend a certain amount of the retainage be released. And it could be half of the retainage, it might be more, depending on how many, how much money is outstanding in the remaining work.
Right. I just want to make sure that that's on the to-do schedule, because
Sure.
I know that that's something you guys are discussing, but based on the list, I didn't see that on the list. I just would like you to add that to the list so we can all be on the same page, if you don't mind.
Yeah, agreed, Heather. Thank you.
So that would be in our next meeting packet would be a payment for the retainage, a portion or all of the retainage to Imperial?
A portion, yes.
A portion.
We would like the dollar amount. So whatever's left open, Paul, we'd have to establish. It's not a percentage. We would like to, a fair dollar amount, please.
We will look at it, yes.
Yes, that's what happens with all of our invoices are dollar to penny amounts. All right. So, Alan, would you continue with your description of the invoices?
So the next 2 payment applications, one's for a portion of doing the solar work, and the other is for a portion of the roof work. And both of those were reviewed and they were deemed to be appropriate.
All right. Do we need
Given that these are older, ma'am, I'd also like to ask one more question, if you don't mind. These are older applications that we had to wait to get some directions from the architect to figure out how to bill them. So these are applications that Imperial has funds out for already. At your convenience, could someone just give us an ETA for a payment for both of these applications, if possible? I'd like to add that to the meeting list.
Someone can, yes.
Thank you.
I don't understand what is the difference between what is being asked for and what is on our agenda today.
I just want to get an idea of when the check's going to arrive, ma'am, because there were invoices that were dated prior, and we weren't able to bill prior and to submit a payment application to the town prior because the architect was waiting for the state, and we had some poor directions on how to bill this job. We rearranged the billing, so I would like to just verify that we could possibly, just a date when we would get a check. That's all.
Alan, what do we need to do to answer this request?
We're just going to have to, once these are approved today, they'll be submitted, and usually I don't know exactly when they're going to cut the check, but we'll find out and then we'll let them know.
Okay, and if it's soon, Alan, no problem. If it'll be a few weeks, no problem. If it's going to be, something longer, I just wanted to know. That's all.
I would estimate probably a couple of weeks, yes, but that would
Yeah,
probably
thank
be
you. That's
this long.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's
All
plenty.
right.
Thank you.
Tony, to move this along and get it on the table, I think Alan described 3 bills, and I have to say that I printed out the first agenda. I did not print out the revised agenda with the bills. And I think to do this, we need to have numbers and contractors. So if Sherry or Alan or somebody can simply read a dollar amount and the contractor, then one of us on the committee can make a motion.
Can somebody share the screen with the bills as we're looking at them?
I've got it. I've read it, by the way, and I have no problem with the bill. It's simply.
I
I
understand,
print
but
it
there
out.
are others of us who need to see the actual numbers in order to vote. So here's the first one. So this is to Colliers, or wait, where's the
Yep.
first? Okay, here's the first one. It's to Colliers for, and now we're going to do some, I can't read the numbers. Can you do a Zoom, get the prints a little larger? There we go. Okay, so this is purchase. Does it have an invoice number, or what number do we refer to it as?
It's
Invoice number 761113 in an amount of 680.
687.70.
0.70. Okay. Are you moving that, Paul?
Sure.
Is
If
there
we're
a
doing
second?
sequentially, that's the first one.
Okay. Is there a second to Paul's motion?
Second.
Seconded by Bill. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Looks unanimous to me. All right, the second one is invoice 767881 for $715. Is somebody like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
David moves. Second.
Second.
Seconded by Paul. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All right, I believe it's unanimous again. The next one is invoice number 774701 for $390. Paul, you want to move that?
Sure.
Moved by Paul Shapiro, seconded by Bill Briggs. Any questions or discussions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Looks unanimous. All right, here's the big one. This is a contractor's, I don't see the invoice number.
Top right, I think it's an application number.
There's nothing there. 6?
6.
Yes, that's application number.
Okay, for 23,901. Would somebody describe what this is, since this is a big number?
On page 2, it says it's sheet metal installation, skylight cost, and skylight install labor.
All right, does anybody have any questions about this?
Yeah, Tony, just one quick one. I see that Paul has indicated his approval by signing the application. Alan, is this in terms of this work? Are you and is the town satisfied that this was done satisfactorily?
We are. Yes.
Thank you. That's all. That's all I need.
Okay, so Paul moves and Bill seconds for the 23,000 bill. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Looks unanimous to me. And the second one is application number 7 from Imperial for $149,544. Would somebody move this payment?
So moved.
Moved by David. Is there a second? I can't see everybody.
Bill.
Wait a minute,
Bill?
ma'am, excuse me, ma'am. There's something, I know, I just saw some sign of frustration. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure why you're reading a 7 because I believe if you're reading 7 for 140, I need to verify that you're not reading the solar because we should have a number 6 and a number 1 out there.
The first one we approved was number 6. This one, it says application number 7.
Yes, it does.
We're
Does
not
it-
seeing number 1 or application number 1. That one we don't have.
So this is number 7 for $149,544.
Open up.
Correct.
No, ma'am, Paul, there's something wrong here. We need to go over this because we gave you a solar bill for number 1 for 210,000. So I'm not sure if the town's looking at what you presented them or what I presented you. But I gave you a payment application 6, which was revised. I took out the solar out of the contract. You told me to take it out of the contract and bill it separate. So I took it out of the contract and I billed it separate. So you should be approving payment application 1 for $210,000. That 7 has been voided. It had to be voided because we're not billing that solar onto the base contract. Remember, the state wanted it in 2 different funding pockets.
Correct. The state has requested as of yesterday that we separate the 2 out entirely. So
Yeah.
did you send me something, Heather, yesterday? To
Yes,
separate
yes,
it out?
this morning. It was sent this morning.
Okay,
Because,
well,
Paul, you told me last minute, Paul.
That's fine.
And
I understand.
honestly, this is your
I understand.
responsibility. You told me last minute. I'm doing what I could to
All
accommodate
right,
you.
wait, it's okay, it's okay. Do we have a copy of the revision? that
Paul
we
does in his
received?
email. We'll send it to you. You can send it to him now. Would you like me to resend it to you right now, Paul?
Wait, hold on a minute. Paul, do you have it?
Yeah, resend it to him.
I'm sorry. I'm looking right now.
It was
And-
received at 8:42, Paul.
8:42. Okay, so
8:42.
since we've been on this call,
Yeah.
okay, see.
I'm not sure when you got it because we can't
Yeah.
even get on the computer. We can't, our internet is down. We can't be on video because of our internet service, Paul.
Fine.
It was prepared yesterday evening, sorry, but it's
Correct.
$210,000.
I did receive it as of 25 minutes ago. If this is simply splitting the contract out, then I would say we would probably review it and approve it. The issue I have is, and Heather, maybe you can answer this question. Is it the same dollar amount we're talking about? It's just split out, is what you're saying?
The dollar amount would be a little bit larger, but it's because there's 23, the 23 is old money. Okay, that's from May. So
Yeah.
you can't really count that. That's from May. So instead of being 140, it's 210, and there's a few reasons why, okay?
Okay.
One, we're 85%, which is very fair. And we dated it August. The solar's 85%. The other reason it's larger is because these jobs are funded separate. So you're only allowed to hold 5% retainage on this and not 7.
Understood.
So the
Understood.
retainage fees, so mathematically it comes out a little bit more, but that's just why, and it's 85%. It's just a photovoltaic 85%. It's one line item, nothing.
And I'm not, this is not a criticism of Imperial in any way, Heather. I guess what I'll say is I would prefer to approve the invoices that the committee has, and then we can separate out the dollars as we at the
I don't want to
conversation
wait for the
yesterday.
$210,000,
you-
Paul.
you-
That's and I waited for you to give me an answer. I cannot hold off the solar guy. It is not fair. We still need to go over the change orders. It is not fair. The town committee has not met since July. I have to get these bills through. That is not fair.
Okay.
And the town's been.
Wait, just one moment, Heather. Let me figure out what we're gonna do. Paul, what are you proposing?
If I could just, what I was going to say is that it's unfair to the committee to have you vote on an invoice that was received during the meeting. I haven't reviewed it yet. I just see it on my inbox right now. It came in 20 minutes
It's
ago.
85% complete. It's simple.
But the point I'm trying to make is that the committee my suggestion is that we approve what's in front of us, and then we separate out those bills between roof and PV. What Heather is saying that there's even more money in addition to the invoices you have in front of you that is owed to them at this point, which I'm not doubting because.
Past due, Paul, past due,
But
technically.
Heather, let him speak.
Heather, wait, please.
So I, because we haven't reviewed anything further than the invoice in front of you, I would say, let's go ahead and approve that invoice. And then if necessary, we can get another invoice, a more current one, to you as soon as possible with it separated out properly as the state has requested. And then either you can hold a special meeting that can be very short to approve those invoices that are current, if necessary.
All right, I'm going to make a different suggestion. I am going to suggest that we approve Heather's new invoice provisionally.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
So pending review by Paul Jorgensen's office, okay? And if there is any objection, it will be held over for our next meeting or for an emergency meeting, whatever is necessary. We can schedule them. I hate to say this, but I have a hard stop at 9:30. That's why I'm trying to rush this through. So can we do a provisional approval of invoice number? What number would it be?
Number one for the PV.
Number one for photovoltaic in the amount of
$210,111.50.
All right, can I have a motion for a provisional approval of this motion pending approval by Paul Jorgensen? David moved. Is there a second? Is there a second? Nobody's going to second this?
I have a question. This job is 85% complete. Paul Jorgensen, can you verify the solar is 85% complete? Can Steve June verify this job is 85% complete solar? If either one of you can verify this job is 85% complete, wouldn't it be fair to approve this bill?
Let me ask a question. Why am I not getting a second on this provisional approval?
I'll answer it if you want me to.
Please.
This entire conversation is highly irregular. I will not respond to any questions that ask me to assess blame, responsibility, or anything. The committee should not be asked to do something that came in during a meeting. It is, I don't care if we have an emergency meeting, and what I'd waive notice to have a meeting tomorrow. I don't care. But when we have nothing in front of us, it is simply, we're not yo-yos. Come on. There needs to be a lot more respect for what the role of this committee is than is.
You have an open item list of what's open. If you read what's open, you don't have anything open.
Heather, you are not recognized to speak. Please wait your turn.
I'm not saying that any contractor or the architect is responsible. That's the kind of thing that is ironed out, and then a united front is presented to the committee, and then we ask questions. That's the regular procedure, and that's what I want to see.
All right, the motion has failed for lack of a second. Now, is it possible for us to do this again, to have an 8:30 meeting on the 15th? Which is 2 days from now. Would it be possible to have a reviewed and approved bill at that date?
Now nobody wants to review it?
Wait, I'm waiting. Everybody's checking their calendars.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were asking Paul Jorgensen.
I can make a meeting on Thursday. I just checked my calendar.
Would it be?
I cannot be there.
I can.
Okay.
My calendar is fine.
All right. Paul, will your review be completed by then? Alan, will your review be completed by then?
Oh, yes.
All right, is there anybody else who needs to review this? Doug, will you be
Yeah,
reviewing?
I'll review it. Yes, so send me a copy. I cannot make the meeting, but yeah, please send me a copy of it. I'll send Paul my comments.
Okay, all right, so let's have a motion to table this set of invoices until Thursday at 8:30 in the morning. And Sherry will send out a Zoom invitation. Is that, would somebody
Yeah.
move that?
I'll move that since I made the original motion.
Okay, is somebody willing to second it? Bill seconds. All right, so we will table all this portion of the discussion till Thursday morning. And hopefully Heather, you'll get a decision on that at that point.
Tony, I support this, and I think this is the right resolution, but I would make a procedural comment. This is a very short amount of notice for a special meeting, and I want to make sure, and I would like to share as someone to perhaps consult with Sarah Ann to make sure that we completely comply. The last thing we want is some kind of procedural snafu. Normally, you actually can do a special meeting on very, very short notice, but it's not like our regular meetings, which are also all special meetings, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, we could also recess this meeting to reconvene Thursday morning. That's another alternative.
Actually, I like that one better.
All right. So at the end of the meeting, we will not adjourn. We will recess until Thursday morning.
I don't think I have a dentist appointment on Thursday morning. I can't at 8:50, so I'm not available for that. But.
All right. So who will we have? Will we have Paul, Bill, me? Is that a quorum?
Yeah, 3 out of Tony, Dave, Paul. I don't know where John is. I think you have a quorum. I thought that a majority of 5 should be a quorum.
Good. All right, so we'll do that. All those in favor of guessing, please raise your hand. Okay, we're going to recess. All right, but not yet. Is there anything on the agenda that we need to deal with today? No? All right, then I'm going to declare this meeting in recess until Thursday morning at 8:30. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.